So good morning friends, welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS. So guys, here we are about to start. Deepak, Yemen, Anmol, Nandini, KK, Pooja, Lovepreet, good morning. So let's start the session then without wasting much time. सीधा सेशन शुरू करते हैं, देखते हैं क्या बोलते हैं आपके अखबार आज. So let's discuss this statement first. When a law is unjust, it is only right to disobey. Okay. So you need to understand one thing. We have law. Law is existing to bring order in the society. That's the logic behind a law. Mohit, good morning. And if we go by idea of ethics, ethics is about set standards to distinguish right and wrong. Okay, set standards to distinguish right and wrong, and specifically to direct the individuals on the right path, and that also has the logic to bring order. Okay, तो इसके अंदर भी एक लॉजिक है कि ये सोसाइटी में ऑर्डर लाने का टूल है. ठीक है ना, द आइडिया ऑफ एथिक्स एंड ऑल. When the law is unjust, now we have multiple example of unethical laws, or you can say unjust laws. So take example of salt law that was imposed by Britishers. Okay, so salt tax was introduced by Britishers, and that was unethical in the sense you cannot tax the basic item that is important for, you can say, the survival. Okay, other point is this, like, we know one thing in South Africa there used to be discrimination against the African population. Okay, अफ्रीकन पॉपुलेशन के अगेंस्ट जो है वहां पे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होता था, एंड दिस वाज डन एज पर द लॉ. दैट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन वाज डन एज पर द लॉ, द अपार्थीड. ओके, so apartheid idea, it was legally sanctioned. So in this way sometimes your law can also become unethical. That's the major point. And Mahatma Gandhi says that if the law is unjust, then it is right to disobey it, it is right to break it. That's the important message that Mahatma Gandhi is giving to us. Now, it is in line with the other idea that basically, law is going to exist, but it will have a base of ethics, that it is not beyond ethics. Okay, it has to be moral, it has to be morally right. This is the point that we have to understand regarding law and ethics, and they are related to each other. You cannot put them separately, they are related to each other. That's the idea. So this is what Mahatma Gandhi ji want to say. So let's move to the next news. Let's see what exactly is there for us. So GST revenue crosses the 1.4 lakh crore mark again, and it is a good development. Good in the sense it shows that Indian economy is on a right path. Okay, Indian economy is on a right path. Now you must be surprised that globally, if we see, okay, globally, specifically in the West, in US or say in Europe, it is being said that they might go under recession. Okay, वहाँ पे recession का डर बन रहा है. The point is this: why Indian economy is, you can say, able to survive this onslaught. So major point that we have to understand, that primarily it is because Indian economy is basically consumption based. Okay, we are not too much dependent on exports. Unlike the Chinese economy is primarily dependent on the exports. Indian economy is consumption based, that is your domestic consumption. So as India has huge market, हमारी खुद की market इतनी बड़ी है that like companies are able to survive, corporates are able to survive, and this is the reason why the corporate tax collection or GST tax collection has increased significantly. This is the major point here because हमारी खुद की market अच्छी खासी बड़ी है. That's the point here. Now, as GST question appeared, so let's discuss this particular question in front of you. Now, this question was asked in mains 2017. Okay, so just have a look. So UPSC did ask a question on GST. Explain the salient features of Constitution 101st Amendment Act. Do you think it is efficacious enough to remove the cascading effect of taxes and provide common national market for goods and services? Okay. Now this question was asked in 2017 when GST was introduced. I would like to tell you this thing because today it's this year it is 2025 and 5 years have been completed. So definitely there will be a potential, this will be a potential area where UPSC can ask a question. Okay, and earlier the question was asked in your GS paper 2. Now the probability is this question may be framed in GS paper 3. Okay, that is related to economy. So the UPSC do ask these type of questions. Now it says that 100 Constitution Amendment Act was passed and they didn't mention about GST. So you have to be clear about what this 101st Constitution Amendment Act was about. So it was about having a new tax regime in India with the name of GST. Okay. Now there are multiple constitutional articles that have been changed. So Article 246A, under this article, both union and state is now have the concurrent power to make laws with respect to goods and services. Okay, so you will note it down for your prelims. आप अपने prelims के लिए ये note down कर लेना. Now this is what this idea is about, that under this both union and state they have the concurrent power. अब ये concurrent power में आ गया है, ठीक है ना? Both can make laws regarding this particular idea. Then there is Article 269A. This article says that in case of interstate trade, the tax will be levied and collected by the government of India and shared between union and states as per the recommendation of GST Council. Okay, again important for your prelims. Again important for your prelims. Then Article 279A. Now this establishes the GST Council. This establishes the GST Council. Okay, and then there was significant change made in the 7th schedule, that this has been modified to, you can say, to change the list. Now 7th schedule is about union list, concurrent list and the state list. Okay, so as this taxation power has been made a concurrent power where both union and state they can make laws, so in this way you have to make subsequent changes. Okay, so these were the constitutional provisions that were changed to bring in the implementation of GST in India. This is the point that we have to understand. Clear है? यही चीज आपको यहाँ पे याद रखनी है कि what this particular article was about. So we'll move to the next part now. Now तीस्ता custody Supreme Court questions the Gujarat. Okay, now this is what the point is about. Okay, so this lady, she fought a case against the Gujarat government and on the behalf of a widow of a Muslim, you can say, member of Legislative Assembly of Gujarat. Okay, so he was killed in that particular violence. Okay, and on that behalf she fought the case, but it was found that there were some you can say propaganda that was carried out. So right now Supreme Court is saying that there is no offense here against her which comes within the provision of POTA or Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. So she should be given the bail and she has been given the bail after that. Okay, this is what the point is about. But there is a fundamental question that has been asked. That fundamental question is about, like, are we moving in right direction where bail is becoming an exception, कि कहीं ना कहीं bail आपकी exception बनती जा रही है and jail has become norm. Okay, so we need to do something because if the bail is denied it means that you are violating someone's fundamental right. That's the point here. ठीक है ना? Right to like liberty is certainly curtailed by that. This is what Supreme Court is also serious about. Okay, this is what the whole thing is about. So we'll move to the next part. आगे चलते हैं and directly we'll move to the एडिटोरियल सेक्शन, सीधा एडिटोरियल सेक्शन पे चलते हैं, देखते हैं क्या है आज के एडिटोरियल्स. ओके, सो हियर वी आर and let's discuss what the editorial is about. Okay, so here first editorial, academia research and the glass ceiling in India. So glass ceiling is about discrimination against women. Okay, so the glass ceiling comes where women, they are considered to be less competent. Okay, they are considered to be less competent, and this glass ceiling is primarily present in the decision making bodies. Okay, not just in the government but also in the private sector. Private board meetings वगैरह होती हैं, there as well this glass ceiling effect is being existing. Now the point is this, how does it work? Basically, women may have the representation. Okay, women may get the representation, she may be present, and the problem will come when the male counterparts, the male members of the board, they will not take her seriously. They will not take her seriously, and she will not be considered as competent, and her ideas are not accepted by the board. This is how sometimes things work. Okay, this is how sometimes things work, and this is being termed as a glass ceiling effect. Okay, now this is not a new thing happening in India, so it is being existing for many, you can say, centuries now. We know that we have a patriarchal society. Okay, so in the patriarchal society this type of behavior is quite, you can say, common. Now the point is this, here they are saying the true gender parity is when the institution consider women as assets rather than it being just a diversity rectification issue. Now this is the important point here, means, like, Companies Act have this provision. Okay, Companies Act 2013 have this provision that you have to appoint at least one female member on the board of directors. That's the provision that has been made. Now companies are bounded by this legal arrangement to have, you can say, female members, but they are not considered as asset. They are just considered as in that position for formal requirement. Okay, because law is saying that. That's the point you have to understand. Now this gender issue is not a new problem. It is being existing from many, you can say, centuries. There are many examples. So when Kamla Sahani, she approached CV Raman for mentorship, so CV Raman denied her the mentorship because, like, she was a woman. That was the reason. Okay, that was the reason. It means that, like, we have prejudice in our mind. The prejudice is going to exist that women are not hardworking. Okay, women are not hardworking. That prejudice is going to exist, and that's the problematic part. Okay, similarly, this case also appeared, like in case of DM Bose. He was a professor in Calcutta University. So when Biba Chaudhary, she approached for the mentorship, like she wanted to carry out the research project under his guidance, again she was denied. But later on in life we know that Biba Chaudhary, she like her work was recognized on cosmic rays. Okay, she was a legendary scientist. That's the point you have to understand. She determined the mass of mesons. Okay, so you can note it down from your prelims point of view, as well as you can use it in the essay as an example. You can use these things in an essay, that how things have worked. Now this gender bias is not, you can say, new. It is existing in 20th century, and things have started changing, but it is not at a greater pace. So we have made multiple efforts. Government has introduced multiple efforts, specifically like gender budgeting. Okay, तो हमने यहाँ पे gender budgeting जैसी चीज़ भी start की है, that a significant amount should be spent for the women empowerment. That's what we are doing here. Okay, so वो सारे effort हमारे चल ही रहे हैं, उसमें कोई problem नहीं है यहाँ पे. But the point is this, it's about the mindset, and it is going to take time to change mindset. Mindset change होने में थोड़ा time लगेगा. Okay, situation has improved. Women are given more representation. Women को यहाँ पे representation भी मिल रहा है, and this is how things are changing. Okay, so there are studies which say that, like, we are moving in a positive direction. Now some of these initiatives have been taken by the government, like gender advanced for transforming institution, Gati project. Okay, it's a pilot project under Department of Science and Technology to promote gender equity in science and tech. Then we have something called Kiran, knowledge involvement in research advancement through nurturing. Again, it's a project of Department of Science and Technology. Basic idea is this: to encourage women scientists. To encourage women scientists. That's the basic idea. Now, some institutions are setting up crutches so that the scientist mothers, they can carry out, they can work with, means they can carry out their research work. Okay, this is what we are doing here. At present, if you see, there was this report which has been published. It says that women occupy 20% of all professorial positions in the STEM, science, technology, engineering, management के जो institutions हैं, उसके अंदर 20% of the professors are female professors. Okay, number of women CEOs in Fortune 500 company is 15%. It has been increasing significantly. So this is a really good thing. तो 15% हो गया, फिर 16.9 हो गया, and latest it was 19.7%. And there is this report which says that if we go by this pace, things are going to be really improved after 2045. Okay, तो चीजें तब तक काफी अच्छी हो जाएंगी. This is what they are saying. This is what they are saying. Now the point is this: it also shows that in India we are doing fine. Okay, we are doing fine, not at a greater pace, but things are improving significantly. Step by step, year after year, the things are improving here. And it has also been found that in the private sector, there are more, you can say, women entering the leadership role. Why is that possible? ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा वुमेन प्राइवेट सेक्टर में लीडरशिप रोल में क्यों आ रही हैं? सो दे आर सेइंग दैट बिकॉज इन प्राइवेट सेक्टर इट इज प्योरली बेस्ड ऑन मेरिट. ओके, it is purely based on merit, and as this is purely based on merit, so more women will get a chance to excel to the higher positions. That's the point here. Okay, this is the logic that is there, and it's a really good thing. It's a really good thing. So we are moving in a right direction. This is what the point is about. And it also shows that if merit is the criteria, then significantly women will outperform men one day. Okay, अगर merit के हिसाब से करें तो women have the potential and she is going to like outperform men. That's the logic here. So we'll move to the next part now. A big picture takeaway from China's Taiwan drill. Okay, so this editorial is basically discussing about like how prepared China is. तो चाइना कितना प्रिपेयर्ड है वो थोड़ी बातें हैं. इट्स नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर अस. ओके, it is more of a masala. You can read it on your own, but I have also taken some of the extracts from this editorial as well. So PLA has still to come some gaps. Some gaps are existing. Okay, so they are saying that primarily the China's potential is, you can say, is in three areas. Okay, these three areas are to be considered important, or if the China wants to carry out you can say attack on Taiwan. So these are, you can say, first being China's air capacity. Okay, whether it will be able to carry out the air assault. Second is the missile capabilities, and the third is about the logistics support. So this editorial primarily says that when it comes to the air assault capability, the helicopter use of helicopters. Okay, so China has really good helicopters. They are as good as the United States helicopters that are there. And we know that Chinese are known for cheating and copying things. Okay, तो वो सारी चीज़ें हमें मालूम है. Other point is this, like there is another angle, use of missile capabilities. Okay, so China has demonstrated their missile capabilities. They are using the missile capabilities to carry out surveillance. Okay, to particular identify the radars that Taiwan has. Okay, so they have the missile technology, missile capability as well. Now when it comes to the logistics handling, so it is said that this is one area where you can say China appears to be weak, and without logistics, without, you can say, assistance, logistics will come where, you know, troops will require assistance. So troops on the ground, they will require further assistance, and for that logistics have to be really very strong. And here they are saying that if your logistics are failing, then definitely you will not be able to achieve the required results. Okay, this is what the logic is about. This is what the logic is about. So it's a good thing. Good in the sense that like China is not fully prepared yet. Okay, it means that in the near future we can see the war may not be there, but you cannot rule out this problem forever. Okay, so peaceful resolution of the whole issue is required. Till the time this peaceful resolution is not done, like the problem of this China's assertiveness, it is going to exist, and it is a serious thing. It will have serious consequence for the whole of economy. Okay, so we'll move to the next part now, and here in this editorial we will be discussing an important topic, that is, can civil servants express their views on law and governance. Okay, so this is also important for your GS2 as well as for public administration students. Okay, तो पब स्टूडेंट्स के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, एंड आई टोल्ड यू अबाउट दिस थिंग मल्टीपल टाइम्स दैट वी हैव स्टार्टेड द public administration course. Okay, so you can buy that course. You can get the recorded lectures. It is quite available, and that I am taking up the public ad here. So we do incorporate the current linkages with that, तो वो भी हम लोग यहाँ पे करते हैं थोड़ी बहुत जो करंट की होती है. So as this is in news, so it is saying that can civil servants express their view on law and governance? Because this is not the first time it is happening. If you remember a few years back, Shah Faisal, now Shah Faisal, he criticized the government. Okay, he criticized the government while in service. He was not happy with the, you can say, implementation or abrogation of Article 370, and he wrote open letters, open editorials in Indian Express. तो काफी इन्होंने जो है editorials वगैरह वहाँ पे लिखे थे, editorials लिखे थे. Okay, that was the point. Now the question fundamental is this, like, can we allow the civil servants to express their views freely? See, the major point that we have to understand here, now civil services, they are part of executive. Okay, they are part of executive. The role of executive is to execute the policies, laws that were told to them by legislature. तो लेजिस्लेचर ने जो कानून बनाए हैं, पॉलिसीज बनाई हैं, उनको इंप्लीमेंट करने का काम एग्जीक्यूटिव का होता है. द पॉइंट इज दिस, देयर इज नो स्कोप दैट हैज बीन लेफ्ट फॉर द क्रिटिसिज्म बाय एग्जीक्यूटिव. कोई हमारे सिस्टम के अंदर कुछ ऐसा आपको नहीं मिलेगा कि वी आर अलाउइंग द एग्जीक्यूटिव टू कैरी आउट द क्रिटिसिज्म. We don't have that type of arrangement. Okay, certainly we don't have that type of arrangement. So this is the point that has been made. Now let's look into this debate. So recently this debate has been started, okay, because some of the not some, for all convicts of Shah Bano case, they have been released. Okay, so here Bilkis Bano, not Shah Bano, Bilkis Bano. Now they were the gang rape convicts, and they were released on 76th Independence Day. 11 men convicted on the charges of rape, they were released. That's the point here. And one of the civil servant, she tweeted, so a senior IAS officer, Samita Sabharwal, she tweeted from her personal account regarding this. Okay, she tweeted regarding this, she criticized the government's move. That was the point. Now the question has appeared that whether it is a breach of Central Civil Services Conduct Rules 1964. Is this the breach of Civil Services Rules 1964? That's the fundamental question that has been asked. Now, if we go by the logic, as a citizen of this country, we have the fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression. They are not absolute, we recognize that, and there is a reasonable restriction as well in the interest of sovereignty, international relations, health and morality, etc. So these provisions are quite existing. Okay, these provisions are quite existing, and we have these rules and regulations because some discipline is also required in the service. So this service requires some discipline. For that we have these rules and regulations. उसके लिए ये रूल रेगुलेशन हम लोगों ने यहाँ पे किए हैं. That's the point here. Okay, that's the logic, that's the point here. Now that prevents a government servant from becoming a member of a political organization or any organization of such a nature. Means that ideology, this is being done these rules are framed so that your bureaucracy, they are not swayed by the ideology of the party in power. They have to provide rational advice to the multiple political leaders. आपके सिविल सर्वेंट्स जो होते हैं, दे आर पार्ट ऑफ द परमानेंट ब्यूरोक्रेसी, परमानेंट एग्जीक्यूटिव. ओके, so your politician, political boss, minister is going to be there only for 5 years, but if you join the service, you will be in service for nearly 35 years. So bureaucrats are permanent executive, they have the major responsibility. उनके ऊपर थोड़ी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ज्यादा है यहाँ पे, ठीक है ना. एंड दैट्स द इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट हियर. So these rules are basically existing since the British era, but we are not living in British era anymore. So here it is important that we have to recognize this fundamental right of the officers. Okay, we cannot undermine that, and there are multiple Supreme Court judgments. Okay, there are multiple Supreme Court judgments that are existing now. There are some judgments like, say, Lipika Paul versus State of Tripura. Okay, now in this it is being said that as a government servant, the petitioner is not devoid of her rights of freedom of speech, a fundamental right which can be curtailed only by a valid law. So this particular, you can say, provision is there in the Supreme Court judgments as well. They are saying that you cannot devoid civil servants of the fundamental right. That even if you want to, then it has to be done in a legal way. You have to make laws. कानून बना के आप लेके आओ इसको लेके, ठीक है. This is the point. This is the point that they are making. And like this is what they are saying, that like the petitioner, she was not crossing any limits at that time. Later on in one other judgment, Kerala High Court says that what cannot be prevented for expressing his views merely because he is an employee. Now we are living in a democratic society and every institution is governed by democratic norms. This is what they are saying. So they are saying that this is the reason why we should allow some sort of, you can say, leverage, flexibility to the bureaucrats so that they can open up about multiple things. Now contrary to this idea, अब तो ये तो कोर्ट के जजमेंट है which are saying that it should be allowed. There is a general belief that an IAS officer, we should not talk against the government actions or government policies in public fora. If you want to say something very strongly about very strong things, you can approach to the association. IAS association is existing and one can approach to that association. That at the level of association, something can be written in the editorial in the newspaper, but open criticism of the government should be avoided. This is what they are saying here. Okay, the point is this, that she felt in this case, means the officer from Telangana, she said that in the Bilkis case, the justice has been compromised because releasing people from jail is certainly not acceptable for this type of crime. Already we are dealing with crime against women, and in that environment, if convicts are set free, okay, if convicts are set free, then certainly it is problematic. It shows that something is not right in the system. So this is what the idea is about. Now it is the dharma of the civil servants to uphold constitutional principles in letter and spirit and the rule of law. But here it is quite visible that your constitution is being subverted. That is what is not required. There was another case where in Andhra Pradesh, some of the convicts of murder, they were also released. Now if we kept on doing such things where convicts of rape and murder, they are being released by the executive action. Okay, अब ये executive action के through अगर ये सब चलता रहा, so it shows that it is not a right thing. It is not a right trend. It is a wrong direction in which we are taking this country to. The point is this, there is rule number 9 of Rules of Central Civil Services Conduct Rules, which says that no government servant shall make any statement or fact or opinion which has the effect of adverse criticism of any current or recent policy of the government action. Now the question is this, is it not the violation of Article 19? Because civil services rules will say that you should not criticize. कानूनी रूप में तो ये बोल ही दिया गया है कि आप इसकी criticize नहीं करेंगे. That's the point here. The rule says you cannot criticize a policy judgment. Now, this is a very vague thing. First is thing, it is a rule, it is not a law. It is not a constitution. Freedom of speech is given by the constitution. So that is a supreme thing. Conduct rules are not laws, they are imposed because you required some discipline. वो सिर्फ discipline point of view से किया जाता है. But that is not the constitution. These rules cannot be, you can say, substitute for the constitutional provisions. This is what they are mentioning in this article. Okay, this is what they are saying in this editorial. So this is an important debate. This is an important debate that we should address these things. Okay, so do's and don'ts should be, you can say, told in advance. So for that the new law can be brought in. कोई नया कानून आप लेके आ सकते हो that what bureaucrats can do and what they cannot do. So to basically regulate these things. This is what the whole point is about. Okay, so we'll move to the next part. आगे चलते हैं, देखते हैं और क्या खास है. So here we have this part which is mentioning about, you can say, affecting the ban on single use plastics. Okay, so Government of India from 1st of July 2022, okay, we have banned the use of single use plastic. But the point is this, is it effective? Is this ban effective? That's the question they are asking, because this is not the first time we are banning. Multiple states banned it earlier as well. बहुत से states ने single use plastic को पहले ही ban कर रखा था, and the problem was that ban was quite ineffective. वो कहीं ना कहीं वो ban ineffective नजर आ रहा था. So now the fundamental question is about, like, is it truly you can say effective, or is it truly appropriate to implement this particular ban? तो क्या ये है, देखते हैं इसके अंदर. Okay, so this is what it is about. Now it is about the single use plastic, because this particular plastic is being quite largely used and they end up in sea because they cannot be reused. Okay, इनको reuse नहीं किया जा सकता, तो वो सी के अंदर डंप कर दिए जाते हैं. एंड द पॉइंट इज दिस, एज दे आर डंप्ड, so they create lot of damage to the environment and the ecology. Okay, this is what the idea is about. So we have plastic waste management rules 2021 that prohibits the manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sale and use of plastic carry bag whose thickness is less than 75 microns. Okay, so this type of restriction has been brought in. To ensure the effective enforcement of the ban, national and the state level control rooms will be established, as well as special enforcement teams. They will also be established to check the illegal manufacture, import, stocking and distribution. So this is the basic idea that they are looking forward to. They are looking forward to have an institutional arrangement, कि एक institution भी बनाएंगे, एक agency भी बनाएंगे जिसकी responsibility होगी to basically implement this particular idea. That's what the whole thing is about. Now this single use plastic, it has adverse effect on both terrestrial and the aquatic ecosystem. We already know it. Okay, so India is not the first country which is banning it. Many countries have banned it. Okay, that's the point. But India played really important role in getting this resolution passed at United Nations Environment Assembly. So we, you can say, we initiated this idea that this should be passed, and later on this resolution was adopted. Okay, this resolution was adopted, and like in the 5th session of United Nations Environment Assembly it has been concluded. So India was playing a constructive role regarding the use, or regarding the ban of using single use plastic. This is what the whole idea is about, and India was not the first country to ban single use plastic. So here we have this thing important for your prelims perspective. Okay, आप note down कीजिए. So Bangladesh became the first country to ban thin plastic bags in 2002, and New Zealand banned it in 2019. China had issued ban on this in 2020. Okay, so this is how things are being done. India is not the first country. So if I want to make a question out of it, तो मैं prelims का एक question बनाऊंगा, and in that I will add one statement. Okay, I will mention that statement as India was the first country, but no, Bangladesh became the first country. That's what the logic is about. But Indian government have definitely taken multiple steps for, you can say, for sensitizing the manufacturers regarding this problem. and like it's a really good thing that we are sensitive about this thing, and awareness has been created among the masses. Okay, so this time when this ban was introduced, like we were quite optimistic about this thing that this time we will be successful. पहले चाहे जो भी रहा हो, but इस time तो हम लोग जो है successful हो जाएंगे. So this is how optimism was about. So basic idea is this, like to ensure effective enforcement of the ban, national and the state level control rooms will be established. Okay, to prevent movement of banned single-use plastic items, the border checkpoints have been established. बिल्कुल border checkpoint भी establish हुए हैं. Central Pollution Control Board, they have launched a grievance redressal application system. So in this way we are creating awareness, as well as we are making some institutional arrangements as well to introduce this ban. Okay, so awareness campaigns have been, you can say, brought by startups, entrepreneurs, regulatory bodies, experts, citizen organization, etc, etc, etc. Then we have a principle called extended producer responsibility. So it is not the user who is responsible, it is the manufacturer as well who is responsible for this particular thing. तो सभी के ऊपर थोड़ी थोड़ी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी डाली गई है. दिस इज हाउ द थिंग इज अबाउट, एंड the idea is to create a circular economy. Okay, circular economy in the sense that plastic will be recollected, and after this recollection it can be reused. This is what the whole logic is about. Okay, it will be recollected and it will be reused. That's the point here we have. Now this ban will succeed only if all stakeholders they are participating in it. Okay, so I told you about this point that earlier as well, multiple Indian states they have tried to impose this ban, but they were not successful because majorly public participation was missing. So it is the important thing that we incorporate the, you can say, we include the public, you can say, in the governance ideas. Okay, that's the important part. Without that you cannot expect things to improve. This is what the logic is about. Okay, this is what the logic is about. Now the major challenges will be how the local level authorities they will enforce this ban, because local authority is important. They will be the one who will be on the ground, and without their effort you cannot expect this to be successful. So how trained they are, how, you can say, whether they have the manpower to introduce this ban or not, so all those things are equally crucial. वो सारे सवाल जो हैं वो काफ़ी important हैं यहाँ पे. Without addressing those particular things, those particular problems, you cannot expect them to be implementing it. That's what the logic is about. So we'll move to the next part now. Why has Supreme Court relaxed the ban on iron ore mining in Karnataka? Okay, so here some restrictions have been removed and mining is being allowed. Basically, this is the debate. Debate is between development, okay, and ecology. So you need to understand one thing, like both are important. Both are important. You cannot go for the loop sided approach कि भी आप सिर्फ इकोलॉजी बचाओगे, डेवलपमेंट रहने दोगे, मेटल एक्सट्रैक्शन नहीं करोगे, मिनरल एक्सट्रैक्शन नहीं करोगे. No, it is not like that. Both are important. We can assure sustainable development. Sustainable in the sense, like, it can be regulated. All the mining activity, it can be regulated by strict implementation of the laws. जो भी आप रूल बनाएं उनका इंप्लीमेंटेशन अच्छे से हो, दैट्स द रिक्वायर्ड थिंग. बैनिंग इज नॉट द सोल्यूशन. एब्सोल्यूट बैन कर देना माइनिंग को, दैट इज नॉट द सोल्यूशन. ओके, what we can do is the government can work upon regulating it, and that's the best idea. That's the best idea, because development is also important and environment ecology is also important. This is what it is about. Modi Z way meeting on as chill remains in ties. Okay, so they have met only once in the 3 years, and it is expected that they will be meeting again, specifically in the lines of Shanghai Cooperation Organization as well as the G20. Okay, so they will meet. This is what the idea is about. This is what the idea is about. Okay, that's the point. Now Supreme Court seeks info on attack on Christians. Okay, so like they are asking details about attacks on Christians, specifically the minorities in multiple areas. Okay, so some incidents have been reported where Christians they are being persecuted. Okay, थोड़ा बहुत ऐसे केस आए होंगे वहाँ पे. So they are taking a serious, you can say, note of it, and it's a good development that at least you have a vigilant judiciary. आपकी judiciary तो vigilant है. That's the important point here. Okay, so it is really important for the democracy. ये हमारे लिए, हमारी डेमोक्रेसी के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. दैट्स द पॉइंट. That's the logic. So other than that, there is nothing much. Okay, so Vostok 2022 begins in Russia with India, China participating in it. So this is the exercise, okay, that they organize, and here Indian, you can say, army contingent, they are participating in it. So this is how things are. Other than that, there is nothing much. Bangladesh Prime Minister to visit India next week. Okay, this development is important in the sense that we had some differences with Bangladesh specifically during the vaccine Maitri program. Okay, तो vaccine Maitri program को लेके थोड़ी बहुत differences आ गए थे. Then on the Constitution Citizenship Amendment Act, okay, Bangladesh was not happy because our politicians were making irresponsible statements that we will throw out Bangladeshis out of India, this and that. तो हमारे कुछ लोग, हमारे कुछ पॉलिटिशियंस इस टाइप की absurd statement दे रहे थे, and that was not, you can say, required at that time. So this is how things are, and she is on India's visit. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. Other than that, there is nothing much. So that's the point here. Okay, on this page as well, there is nothing much. आगे चलते हैं, देखते हैं और क्या खास है. Yes, so UN accuses China of Uyghur rights abuses. Okay, so this UN report has been there. They are saying that China has a really bad record when it comes to human rights violation. तो ह्यूमन राइट्स वायलेशन बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है चाइना के अंदर. दिस इज व्हाट द पॉइंट इज अबाउट, स्पेसिफिकली इन द उइगुर मुस्लिम केस. Now, the point here what we are making, there are concentration camps. Okay, so in the Uyghur there are some concentration camps, and Chinese are basically forcing Uyghur Muslims to change their way of living, and they want to uh, bring in the behavioral change कि वो अपना religion छोड़ दें. That's the thing that they are doing in there. So this is what the thing is about, and the report is really alarming because earlier China was claiming that there are no such things. They say that they are schools, but reality is different. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, वो basically camps ही हैं जहाँ पे behavior change करने की बात की जाती है. Okay, this is what the logic is about. Other than that, there is nothing much. No state funeral for Mikhail Gorbachev. Okay, so he was a important leader of Soviet Union, and he introduced the reform of perestroika. Okay, and like political and the economic reforms were carried out under his, you can say, leadership, and it is said that that led to the disintegration of USSR. उसके बाद ही यूएसएसआर का डिसइंटीग्रेशन हुआ था. ओके, दिस इज व्हाट द होल थिंग इज अबाउट, एंड एट दैट टाइम देयर वाज कू एज वेल. तो किसी को शायद मालूम नहीं है, 5 months बिफोर द डिसइंटीग्रेशन. ओके, so 5 months before the disintegration of USSR, there was coup against Mikhail Gorbachev, and it was a serious thing. It was a serious thing at that time, and now he has been, you can say, he's dead now. Okay, so this is how things have turned up in case of USSR, and the disintegration of USSR further led to the, you can say, rise of US and a unipolar world. वहाँ से यूनिपोलर वर्ल्ड की शुरुआत होती है. ओके, सो रिसेंटली पुतिन has made multiple statements regarding this thing. He criticized Gorbachev, and he said that unilaterally it was the Gorbachev who was responsible for that disintegration. Okay, and he mentioned that as a catastrophe of 21st century. तो ये बात बोलिए कि ये 21st century की catastrophe थी. Okay, this is what the point is about. This is what the point is about. So that's the logic. That's the logic. Other than that, there is nothing much. So here we'll move to the economy page. Okay, so August auto wholesales witness growth ahead of the festive seasons. Okay, it's a positive thing now. It's a positive show. As I told you, we are a consumption based economy, so हमारे यहाँ पे तो खुद की डिमांड इतनी ज़्यादा है. Okay, so your domestic demand is sufficient enough to sustain. This is what the whole idea is about. But it should be ideally mix, दोनों mix होने चाहिए. Okay, एक्सपोर्ट्स का भी कंपोनेंट होना चाहिए और डोमेस्टिक डिमांड भी आप एड्रेस करो. दैट्स द लॉजिक हियर. वो मेजर लॉजिक है जो हमें समझना है. ठीक है जी. दिस इज व्हाट द पॉइंट इज अबाउट. दिस इज व्हाट द पॉइंट इज अबाउट. सो दैट्स इट फॉर द डे देन. थैंक यू वेरी मच.